Hi, you're watching Reddit Confessions, where the truth hits harder than fiction. Tonight's story doesn't begin with a wedding, or a love story, or even a fight. It begins with a broken button, a missing earring, and a smell that didn't belong to me. There was a black button on our bedroom floor. It was just sitting there, like it had every right to be, right next to the leg of our dresser. Harmless, ordinary, but I don't own anything with black buttons, not shirts, not coats. Not even my old church jacket from my cousin's funeral. And Mel, my wife, hadn't worn anything with buttons in months. She was all about zippers now, or lace. I bent down, picked it up, and held it in my hand like it might explain itself. It didn't. But the weight of it felt like holding a secret. That was Sunday morning, the morning after the party. The party I begged her not to attend. She didn't get home until almost 7. No apology, no explanation. Just walked into the kitchen like she'd been out for milk. Her hair was still curled, lipstick faded, and there was a faint scent of cologne I didn't wear, something citrusy. Younger, confident, arrogant. I didn't say anything right away. I just asked, "Did you have fun?" She didn't look at me when she answered. It was all right. And that was it. No details. No, who was there. No, how late it went. No, you were right, I should have stayed. Just a shrug, just silence. But back to the button. I left it on her nightstand, didn't say a word. I wanted to see if she'd notice it. A test maybe, a stupid one, but I needed something. She never mentioned it, not even once. That same day I found one of her earrings under the couch, one of the dangly ones, gold with tiny emeralds, the kind she only wears when she wants attention. We hadn't gone out in weeks. I hadn't seen her wear those since our anniversary dinner back in March. That earring wasn't from the night before. That earring had dust on it. I started putting together a puzzle I didn't want to solve, and it all pointed back to that damn party. You see, when she first brought it up, it didn't sound like a big deal. Just a birthday hangout, she said. Some guy from work, open bar, nothing crazy. I told her I wasn't comfortable, that I had a bad feeling. I wasn't loud about it. I wasn't mean. I just said, please, don't go. Not this one, she laughed. Not out of cruelty. Worse, out of dismissal. Like I was a child afraid of the dark. It's not like I'm gonna cheat on you, Lowell, she smirked. I wish she hadn't said that. Because now, every time I close my eyes, I hear it like a curse. I didn't sleep that night. Not even a little. Mel lay next to me in bed, her breathing soft and even, like everything was normal, like the hours she was gone didn't leave a hole in our timeline. I stared at the ceiling, trying to make peace with my own imagination. But every time I blinked, I saw that black button again. I heard that cologne's whisper in the room. I felt the space between us stretch like a fault line. Around 3 a.m., I got up and sat on the floor of the living room, with a cold glass of water and a colder thought. She lied to me. Maybe not with words, but with the absence of them. And that kind of lie is louder than the spoken ones. It wasn't just the party. It was the buildup, the missed dinners, the phone flipped face down, the smile that never quite reached her eyes anymore, the laugh that didn't belong to me. The next morning, I tried to play it cool. I made coffee, like always. Set her mug on the counter with 2 sugars, just how she liked it. She came into the kitchen wrapped in her robe, her hair tied up lazily, and gave me a tired good morning that tasted like ashes. I asked how she slept. She said, fine. I asked if she had fun at the party. She said, yeah. That was it. So I asked a different question. Who drove you home? Her answer came too fast. Everly. You know, the girl with the pixie cut. But I didn't know that name. She'd never mentioned an Everly. And more than that, she avoided eye contact when she said it. That was all I needed. I didn't argue. I didn't accuse. I just nodded and said, cool. Then I walked to the bedroom, closed the door, and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. That word, Everly, bounced around in my skull like a marble in a glass jar. Made up. Convenient. Disposable. And suddenly, everything else looked different. I started noticing things. Her charger was missing. Her gym bag smelled like alcohol and something floral. Not her perfume. There were scratches on her upper back that looked suspiciously like fingernails. And her red blouse, the one with the open shoulders, was stuffed in the bottom of the laundry hamper inside out, stained at the collar. It was like every object in our house became a clue, and I didn't know whether I was solving a mystery or building a case against my own sanity. Later that afternoon, I texted her, just one line. "Can you send me Everly's last name?" She didn't respond for 45 minutes. Then she wrote, "Why?" I replied, "Just wanted to thank her for getting you home safe." She never answered, and that silence, it screamed louder than any fight we'd ever had. I didn't need to press anymore. The unraveling had already begun, and I had a front row seat. I just didn't know yet how deep the lie went, or how much worse it was going to get. Because the truth, that party wasn't the start of her betrayal. It was just the part I couldn't ignore anymore. I didn't set out to snoop through her phone. Honestly, I held onto a fragile sliver of dignity that told me not to go there. I wanted to believe that whatever was happening would come out in the open without me having to dig. But after her coldness that morning, after the silence about Everly, after I caught her staring at her phone and smiling when she thought I wasn't looking, I broke. I waited until she went for a shower, left her phone on the nightstand, screen glowing softly, unlocked. That never used to happen. It wasn't curiosity that moved my hand. It was survival. I didn't expect to find anything. Part of me still hoped I was wrong, but the moment I opened her messages, I felt something leave my body, like oxygen, like innocence. There was no Everly, but there was K-No, full name, no profile picture, just the letter. The most recent message was from the night of the party. "K, can't stop thinking about last time. Are we really doing this again tonight? Mel, you know the answer. I'll be wearing what you like." Then a photo, blurry, dark, cropped. But I knew the shirt. It was mine. One she used to sleep in. Not anymore, apparently. There were weeks' worth of messages, meeting times, complaints about me, inside jokes, flirting that got more and more bold, then photos, hers, his. Nothing explicit, but suggestive enough to feel like knives in my chest. They weren't being careful. They didn't need to be. She never thought I'd look. She never thought I'd need to. I dropped the phone on the bed like it burned me. I couldn't think, couldn't breathe. I walked to the kitchen, sat at the table, and stared at the wood grain like it might absorb me. I didn't cry, not then. There was just this stillness, like a noise so loud it became silent. I could feel the beat of my heart behind my eyes, and I hated that it still beat for her. When she came out of the shower, hair wrapped in a towel, she looked surprised to see me sitting there. "You okay?" she asked, reaching for her mug. I stared at her, just stared. She didn't flinch, didn't fumble, just drank her coffee like the world hadn't shifted on its axis. So I asked, "Who's Kay?" She blinked, a half second too long. "Kay," she repeated, stalling. "Yeah," I said, "the one who can't stop thinking about last time." The room went cold. She set the mug down too gently, like she knew any sudden movement would shatter whatever was left between us. "I think we should talk," she said finally, her voice even. But I was already standing. I walked past her and down the hallway, into our bedroom, closing the door behind me with the weight of everything she'd just confirmed. No yelling, no fight, no denial. She knew I knew, and that was enough. But what I didn't know, not yet, was who Kay really was. And when I found out, it would unravel something far darker than a one-night stand. She knocked once on the bedroom door, like it wasn't hers anymore. I didn't answer. I was sitting on the floor with my back against the bed frame, staring at the wall, not crying, not angry, just hollow. That's the thing no one tells you about betrayal. It doesn't explode. It drains you, quietly, efficiently. "Can I come in?" she asked through the door. I still didn't say anything. A moment passed. Then the knob turned and she stepped inside, her face trying on too many expressions at once. Guilt, defensiveness, concern, none of them fitting quite right. She sat on the edge of the bed, hands folded in her lap like a kid waiting for punishment. "His name is Kevin," she said after a long silence. "We met at the gym. He trains there. It wasn't supposed to. I didn't plan on anything happening. That line. It wasn't supposed to happen. It's the anthem of every cheater caught in the act. Like betrayal is a weather event that just rolls in uninvited." I finally looked at her. "So, all those late nights, the sudden interest in fitness, the perfume you don't wear around me anymore, that was for him?" She looked away, didn't deny it. "And the party?" I pushed. "You planned to see him there?" She hesitated, and that was enough. I stood up too fast, and the blood rushed to my head, but I didn't care. "You lied straight to my face." I begged you not to go, and you looked me in the eyes and promised nothing was happening. You kissed me and walked out that door. To be with him. I didn't go there to sleep with him, she whispered, tears finally forming. It just happened, and I didn't know how to undo it. I laughed. It was a raw, broken sound. You don't undo something like that, Melinda. You don't get to press Control plus Z on our marriage. She started crying harder, and I hated how a part of me still wanted to comfort her. Even now, when every cell in my body was screaming to run, to yell, to destroy something, I still felt that old urge to hold her and say, "It's okay." But it wasn't okay, not even close. "How long?" I asked. She looked up. "What? How long has this been going on?" Another pause. A long one. "Since March." It was August. 5 months. 5 months of lies, gaslighting, fake smiles, and fake plans. 5 months of her letting me believe I was crazy every time I asked what was wrong. 5 months of him touching what I thought was sacred. I sat back down, exhausted. "Why him?" I asked, not angrily, just lost. "I don't know," she said. "He made me feel seen, desired. You were always tired, distant. I don't know, Lowell. I felt invisible. I felt that slap more than any hand could deliver." "You didn't feel seen," I said slowly. "I made you dinner every Sunday. I rubbed your feet when you said work was too much. I canceled plans with my friends just to be home in case you needed company. I begged you to spend time with me." She covered her face with her hands. "I don't know how we got here," she sobbed, "but I did. We didn't get here. She walked us here, step by step, choice by choice. And now that we were standing on the edge, she wanted me to believe we somehow tripped. Number. Not this time. What I didn't tell her in that moment, what I had just discovered, was that Kevin wasn't some stranger. He was someone I already knew. She kept talking, something about couples therapy and starting fresh, but I wasn't listening anymore. My ears had tuned her out the moment she said his name, Kevin. Not because it was unfamiliar, but because it was too familiar. My jaw clenched so hard I felt it in my neck. Kevin wasn't just some guy from her gym. He was Kevin Braden, my cousin. We weren't close, not anymore. But we grew up together, played on the same little league team, went camping every summer until our teens. He was the wild one, the golden boy, the guy who always got in trouble but somehow made it look charming. I hadn't spoken to him in almost a year, not since that awkward Christmas dinner at my aunt's place where he showed up late, drunk and flirted with everything that moved, including my wife. She laughed it off back then, said he was harmless, said she'd punch him in the throat if he ever tried anything. I believed her. God, I believed everything she ever said. I opened my laptop and typed his name into social media. There he was, shirtless in half the pictures, still that same smirk like the world owed him something. And then I saw it. A post from 6 weeks ago. A photo of him holding a red Solo cup, arms slung around someone just out of frame, tagged at a private invite-only party. The same party she swore was just a birthday gathering. She lied, again. I zoomed in on the edge of the frame. I couldn't see her face, but I knew that dress. Black, tight. The one she said she threw out last year because it didn't fit anymore. It fit just fine that night. I sat back in the chair, my heart thudding like it wanted out of my chest. This wasn't just betrayal. This was betrayal with intention, with planning, with coordination. She didn't fall into this. She walked right into it, arms wide open, and now she was sitting in our room, pretending she had tripped. I stood up, walked back into the hallway, and saw her sitting at the edge of the bed, still crying, phone clutched in her hand. I didn't yell, I didn't accuse. I just asked one question. Did he ever come here? To our house? She blinked, caught off guard. What? Did Kevin ever walk through that front door while I was at work? Did he sit on this couch? Use our shower? She froze. Her lip quivered. That was my answer. How could you? I whispered, voice shaking. How could you bring him into this house? I was confused, she said, standing now. It wasn't supposed to. Stop saying that, I snapped. My voice cracked halfway through, not from anger, but from the sheer weight of the words. Stop pretending you didn't know exactly what you were doing. I didn't mean to fall for him, she said quietly. And in that moment, it felt like the floor gave out beneath me. Fall for him. This wasn't just a fling. This wasn't a drunken mistake or a temporary lapse in judgment. She had feelings for him. She had given herself to him emotionally, not just physically. That was worse than anything I imagined. I felt sick. "I need you to leave," I said. She looked startled. "What?" "I need you out of this house. Tonight. But I don't care. A hotel, a friend's couch, your lover's bed. I don't care where you go, Melinda. Just not here." She didn't argue, not right away. She just looked at me with those wide red eyes full of crocodile tears and slowly nodded. "I'll pack a bag." She walked past me down the hallway, and I stood there, listening to her unzip our shared life, drawer by drawer. I could have collapsed. I could have screamed, but I didn't, because something in me had already shut off. And I hadn't even told her the worst part. Kevin owed me money, thousands, and now he owed me something else. She left that night with a duffel bag and a quiet apology, not the kind that comes with eye contact or meaning, the kind you offer when you're just trying to exit without more damage. I watched her walk out the door without saying a word, not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I didn't trust myself to say it without falling apart. The silence after she left was unbearable. You'd think it would feel like relief, or maybe even victory, but it didn't. The stillness in the house was suffocating. The way the fridge hummed, the way the air conditioner clicked on, everything sounded louder now that she was gone. And in the absence of her footsteps and her voice and her perfume that still lingered in the hall, I sat down and opened the one thing I hadn't touched yet, my old email account. See, Kevin never struck me as a guy who covered his tracks well. And I remembered something, an old shared password we used as teenagers to prank each other's online accounts. We had created a joint fantasy football profile years ago, and I figured he was the type who reused passwords, so I tried it on one of his known email addresses. It worked. I wish it hadn't. What I found was more than just casual flings or flirty exchanges. There were emails, real ones, long-winded, emotionally loaded, dated back over 6 months. He wrote to her like they were in a twisted love story. He said things like, "I hate seeing you with him, pretending you're still happy," and "If we had met first, none of this would have happened," she wrote back. Paragraphs, confessions, promises. But then I hit something worse, a thread labeled plan. I opened it, bracing myself. It was a back and forth about moving in together, about timing, about me. She had told him that once things settled down and we had a calm conversation, she'd ease me into the idea of separation, make it sound mutual. "Lowell's too passive to fight back," she wrote. "He'll fold if I cry." That line, it hit harder than any photo. She didn't just cheat, she strategized. She painted me as pathetic, some dull, predictable doormat who wouldn't stand up for himself. Like I was background noise in my own marriage, and Kevin, he encouraged it. "Play nice," he replied. "Keep him soft. It'll make everything smoother." My hands trembled on the keyboard. I felt humiliated in a way I didn't think was possible, not just as a husband, but as a man, as a human. This wasn't two people slipping into a mistake. This was two people building a fantasy on the ruins of my life and laughing while doing it. But here's the thing they didn't know. I wasn't going to fold, and I wasn't going to confront them the way they expected, because there was one more email in Kevin's inbox, one that changed everything. It was from my bank, an automated confirmation of a deposit from my account to his. That's when it hit me. Mel didn't just betray me emotionally, she betrayed me financially. While I was paying bills, cooking dinners, and wondering why she didn't want to be touched, she was moving money, my money, quietly, carefully, with his help. And I had the receipts. They thought I was soft. But what they'd really done was give me all the evidence I needed. I didn't need revenge. I needed precision. And the first step was silence. I didn't scream. I didn't call her. I didn't march over to Kevin's apartment or send a dramatic message. That's what they expected. That's what they prepared for in those emails. They thought I'd lose my mind, throw things, cry, threaten, beg. They had contingency plans for that version of me, but they never imagined what I'd do instead. Absolutely nothing. Not at first. I let them live in their fantasy. Let them believe they'd outsmarted me, that their little scheme had slipped by unnoticed. I knew the exact dollar amount they'd funneled, quiet $500 transfers, inconsistent enough not to raise flags, but steady enough to add up. Over 4 months, she moved nearly $7,000 into an account she helped him open. I checked the records twice. It was my name on the paycheck and his name on the benefits. What hurt more than the money was the narrative they built around me. The emails made it clear. To them, I was weak, predictable, forgettable. Just an obstacle to maneuver around politely, like a slow-moving car in their fast lane. Mel even wrote once, "I'll cry if I have to. Lowell folds when I cry, so I folded." Or rather, I let her think I did. The next day I sent her a message. Nothing dramatic, just, "I think you're right. We need time. I need to figure myself out." Her reply was fast. "I agree. This is probably for the best. I'll come get the rest of my things tomorrow." The way she said "the rest," like our life together, had been reduced to a few boxes of sweaters and makeup, stung deeper than anything else. I stared at the message for a while, not because I didn't expect it, but because I had. Word for word. I went into prep mode, cold, mechanical. I contacted the bank, froze joint accounts, redirected my direct deposit to a new solo checking account, locked my credit. I changed passwords, withdrew cash, printed statements. Every single move was careful, silent, calculated. I moved through my house like a ghost, watching everything with the detached focus of someone setting a trap. Not out of revenge, but for protection. By the time she arrived the next evening, I was composed. She came in like nothing had happened. Hair done, light makeup, that same breezy energy she wore when she was hiding something. Kevin wasn't with her, but I knew he was close, probably waiting in the car. I imagined him in the driver's seat, texting her things like, "You okay?" and "Take your time." She walked into the kitchen without asking, picked up the last box she'd left, then looked at me over her shoulder. "I'll have the divorce papers sent by the end of the week. Clean and quick, okay?" "Clean and quick," I echoed. She paused, as if expecting me to say more, maybe to beg her to stay or ask why. But I didn't. I just looked at her like she was a stranger, because she was. She tilted her head slightly and gave me this weird, almost pitying smile. "I'm glad you're taking this well," she said. I nodded. "Me too." She left without hugging me, without saying goodbye. Just a glance back at the hallway we used to share, then she disappeared through the door. I watched her walk to a dark blue sedan and slide into the passenger seat. I recognized the car. It was the same one from the party, the one she promised she had nothing to hide about. Kevin didn't even look at the house. He just drove off like a man who thought he won. They had no idea that I had already contacted a lawyer. They didn't know I had every email, every transfer, every single word. And they definitely didn't know that the apartment they planned to move into next month, it was in my name. 2 weeks after she left, I watched them move into the apartment like two teenagers in love. I kept a distance. I didn't interfere. They had no clue the lease was still legally mine, no clue the utilities were in my name, and no clue that I had legally recorded every document that proved she siphoned money from our marital account and funneled it into Kevin's. But I wasn't interested in destroying them, not anymore. I was interested in reclaiming myself. While they were playing house, I was meeting with my attorney. We filed for divorce with all the evidence attached: financial fraud, infidelity, misappropriation of shared funds. She was stunned. Her response email came through one morning while I was drinking coffee on my porch. She begged me not to go public, said it was all just a misunderstanding, that she was scared, that Kevin was pressuring her, that she didn't mean to take so much. But what she really meant was, she didn't expect me to fight back. I didn't go public. I didn't need to. I let the system handle it. She was ordered to pay back every cent. Her name was removed from the lease. Kevin was evicted, and when they tried to plead their case to the landlord, he just shrugged and handed them the papers. You should have seen their faces when they returned to the apartment one afternoon and found everything gone. The locks changed, their furniture neatly stacked in the hall, a printed letter taped to the door with the words, "Don't worry, clean and quick, just like you said. No screaming, no threats, just closure." It's been 3 months. I moved into a new place, a little smaller, a little quieter, and somehow a whole lot warmer. I planted tomatoes in the backyard. I adopted a dog. I started saying no when I wanted to. I still hear her name sometimes, but it doesn't cut like it used to. Now, it's just another chapter I finished reading. Funny thing is, I still think about the button, that one black button on the floor. It was such a small thing, but it told the whole story. I just wasn't ready to listen yet. Now I am. Thanks for sticking with me through this story. If you've ever experienced something in your life that seemed small at first but turned into something massive, maybe a comment, an object, a strange coincidence, tell us about it in the comments below. History is built on small moments that explode when we least expect them. You've been watching Reddit Confessions, where the truth always comes out, no matter how hard they try to bury it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your story. Until next time.